Well, friends, here it comes again. I know it's fall and it seems to be happening all over again. Food shortages are coming back. Empty shelves are coming back. I know pumpkin spice lattes are back, and that may have you excited if you're one of those folks. If you're not one of those folks, it's just food shortages. We have things like lockdowns in the future that we're looking at. We're looking at World War III coming down the pike. We have all sorts of craziness coming at us. But one of the big things that I think a lot of you guys are starting to feel and see, I'm getting a lot more feedback from you guys just in the last week or so. I'm getting a lot more interest in this channel in the last month or so. There is a sizable uptick in interest in what's going on out there. So we're going to be talking about what's going on. We're going to be talking about why is this happening. We're talking food shortages here, okay? Food shortages and supply chain issues. And we're going to be talking about what happens next, because big things are coming down the pike right at us, and we'll talk a little bit about what you can do about it. A lot of you already know what you can do about it, and that's stock up. We're not playing secrets here. We're not the Illuminati with like secret knowledge of things that are going to happen in the future. We're just looking at what's happening and what people in the industry, the food industry, are telling us. And I mean, politicians and people in the food industry have been telling us for well over a year about what's happening and what's going to happen. Farmers have been telling us, and I've been telling you, blue in the face for the past 6 months to 12 months. This is really coming right at us. This channel started really 2 years ago in, August 2020, I guess it was 2021, because it's 2023 now. And there was a lot of issues in 2021 fall. We came out of the summer and things were like not so good. We came into the fall and there were a lot of issues, a lot of shortages, a lot of problems. And then things kind of started to get back together. We thought things were going to fall off the wheels. All the wheels were going to come off around Thanksgiving, Christmas. They were able to kind of pull that out of the fire and able to have enough to go through. There were some spotty shortages here and there. Some folks found it a little hard to get turkey. They didn't get the deals that they were hoping for. But we all survived, right? And then the winter and the fall, the winter and the spring, things seem to be kind of getting back into back together. But last fall, we also had some issues show up again around this time. I don't know what it is particularly about fall, other than harvest season, as to why we're having issues. Last fall, we had potato issues, and I told you why that was happening. We had a bad potato harvest the previous year. And then guess what? Last year, we had another bad potato harvest. We actually had a worse potato harvest last year. It's like the Irish potato famine, but here in the United States. And this means we're going to run out of potatoes before we ran out of potatoes last year. Mid to late September, we ran out of potatoes last year, and everyone's like, where's the potatoes? Couldn't find them. Couldn't find the fresh ones, so everyone started buying canned and powdered. And then suddenly you couldn't find any of those either. Well, friends, the potato famine, the potato shortage has started to hit. It's hitting in a bunch of places, and it's like they're going out of stock as we speak right now on potatoes. So if you need potatoes in the next month or two, you want to go out there and grab them right now. We're looking at 2 months of potato shortages until the potato harvest comes in. Now that's for the United States. If you're over in Australia, if you're over in the UK or somewhere else like that, you may see some things a little bit different, but the worldwide shortage of potatoes is a real thing. I've been hearing some of you guys down in Australia talking about how you're seeing issues with potatoes down there. So potato shortage is a real thing. Dairy shortage in the United States seems to be a semi-manufactured issue. It's the manufacturing facilities that make the pasteurized milk. They're shutting down these factories. They're moving the factories. There's also the fact that the dairy herd in the United States is lower than it regularly is, but we're hearing from farmers that there's plenty of milk. The problem is there aren't enough processing facilities to process them. So we're exporting milk, and in some places they're dumping milk. So that's really frustrating when you go to the store shelves and you're like, there's no dairy here, but I know farmers have dairy. So if you can kind of work around the system and get some of that dairy direct, that hasn't been necessarily pasteurized and all that other stuff, that'd be good for you. And on top of that, you'll be helping them out. Maybe not the factory workers, but, anyways. So we have dairy issues, we have potato issues, we got pasta issues are coming. Italy has been sounding an alarm. They actually set up a emergency work group for the government of Italy to deal with the pasta shortage. It's so Italian for them to do that. The only thing that would be more Italian for them to do is to get out in the streets and have all their unions out there protesting the pasta shortage. Then it would be just exactly what you'd expect. So there's that going on. I mean, that's not just the United States thing. That's not just Steve found them not restocked recently. No, pasta shortage is a real thing, and it's coming down the pike, and you're going to see that accelerate over the next number of months. And that's because the spring and summer durum wheat harvest in the United States and Europe and Canada, very, very bad. So until we get another durum wheat harvest, which will be sometime next spring, we're going to be having issues with durum wheat. Now, this harvest is still coming in, going into the factories to get turned into pasta and all that kind of stuff like that. So we should see a bit of a bump in inventory coming up. But there's a shortage worldwide, and some people might be hoarding it. We're looking at the Italians there, okay? They're protesting. They got a work group, and they're probably hoarding the durum wheat. And rightfully so, because the Italians need it more than anyone else. I mean, how can you be Italian without pasta, right? Anyways, so the rest of us, we can switch over to other stuff. We'll eat some rice. Except we're having rice shortages out there. India is refusing to export any white rice, basmati rice, jasmine rice, any of the specialty rices, and regular rice, banning all exports. Friends, when you have one of the largest producers of rice in the world banning all exports, it makes you kind of go, what's going on? What do they know? And friends, what they know is that there is a serious issue out there with rice. There's not enough rice to go around, and they want to make sure that they have enough rice. It's not that they want to make money. They want to make sure that they don't have riots in the streets, food riots, and they don't want to have their government toppled over. So they're making sure that they're grabbing all the rice that they possibly can in the country and making sure that their population stays fed, because desperate people do desperate things. And you're going to see that. We saw that back in 2021. We saw a bunch of countries start putting export controls on their food. And why did they do that? Because third world countries, the only thing holding things together is that people are getting fed. Once people stop getting fed, governments have a tendency to change. We saw that in the Arab Spring. There was food issues, and boom, a whole bunch of governments changed. Now, the CIA probably had quite a bit to do with all that. In fact, there's lots of documentation to show that's exactly what happened. They were capitalizing on these issues, but we're having those issues again, and across Africa, we're seeing dominoes fall one after the next after the next, and this time it ain't the CIA doing it. It's the old KGB doing it, or KGB, Russian KGB, right? Obviously, they're not going by that name anymore, the FSB, but the simple fact is we're having pro-Western countries in Africa and pro-Western governments falling and pro-Russian governments popping up in their place. And that's kind of disconcerting to a lot of people, and it's kind of disconcerting to the United States allies out there who are watching United States diplomacy fail again and again and again. We're seriously being challenged around the world. So, but in a lot of these places, they're grabbing as much food as they can because they need to protect their people. We got the Black Sea grain deal has not been renewed, and a lot of grain is being destroyed with airstrikes and all that kind of stuff happening, which is driving the price of general wheat all the way up, in addition to durum wheat. So when we go to the stores and we're seeing issues there, it's because there's issues. There are genuine issues throughout the world in the food supply space. We have record purchases of U.S. corn out there, but we're also seeing that the U.S. corn is not doing so well. Before harvest, we're seeing it's hit or miss in a lot of places, and it's really hard to estimate what the actual harvest of corn will be, but China's been buying up a lot of corn. In addition to that, soybeans, near record purchases of soybeans out there, and near record bad soybean harvest is projected. So the question is, did we already sell more soybeans than we're going to harvest? And as an American, you're going to have to ask the question, if we sold all of our soybeans to other countries, is there going to be any soybeans left here in the United States for domestic use? And the answer to that may be no. I know, it's hard to imagine that, but the fact is, just because we produce lots of corn and soy and wheat in the United States doesn't mean it's going to stay here. If some other country buys it from a corporation in the U.S., they're going to smile, take the money, and ship it off to Timbuktu. And then when you go to your grocery store, the baker is going to say, sorry, buddy, but there's no bread here because we couldn't buy any wheat for a reasonable price. So we decided to shut down operations for a month or two until we could get a better supplier. And you're without bread. That's how that works. Some of these manufacturing companies that make bread and make all the other industrial processed foods that go on your store shelves, some of them line up their supplies years in advance because they're, long-term looking at things. Others go month to month with contracts, and they may be caught flat-footed, not being able to buy what they need to keep their production lines going. Expect to see that more in the coming weeks and the coming months. Is this going to get really, really bad? Things aren't pointing to that just yet, but things are going to be a lot tighter. Expect a lot more holes on the shelves. Expect some products to be in shortage sometimes. You may have to substitute. You want pasta? Tough. There ain't no pasta today. You need to get up tomorrow morning early and get to the store first thing in the morning, and hopefully they got a delivery. And if they did, then you'll get pasta. Cool. If not, you're going to have to, eat some couscous or eat some, which is basically pasta, or get some rice or, something else. You're going to have to substitute. And a lot of us are going to have to start learning that life isn't fully stocked grocery stores like Americans have gotten used to over these years, that the reality of the world is that there are shortages. Things come and go. Businesses come and go. And the turmoil out there is real. So what do we do about it? If whatever you eat as a family that doesn't go bad, stockpile that. Buy more of it. I recommend 3 months of food pantry. That's just your pantry. Just expand your pantry. 3 months of food. Just your normal stuff. And beyond that, I recommend stocking up on a long-term food storage stuff. Like get rice, package it properly so it'll last for a long time. You don't even have to rotate that stuff. You just buy it, or you make the buckets, or you make the storage, and get yourself out to a year's worth of food for your family. If something bad happens to your family, you get laid off or whatever, you're prepared. That's one big thing that you don't have to worry about. You can just eat out of your food supply. That's huge. It's like a savings account, but instead of inflation getting rid of your value, it actually increases your value. It's kind of cool. Food prices keep going up. It's been the best investment in the past 2 years. And I've been saying to you guys, stock up, stock up, stock up, stock up. And I can't get by 1 or 2 days without one or two of you saying to me, thank you so much for telling us. We listened, and it has really helped us out a lot. So I appreciate you guys so very much. Times are tough. I get it. But tighten your belts as best you can financially and get stocked up as best you can. Save up some money, save up some food, and just be prepared for some shocks to come. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there. And also, if you go down to the description down below, there's a bunch of options, a bunch of links to things, good priced items on Amazon. If you want to get stocked up that way. I still say the cheapest way to get stocked up for most people is go to Walmart. Walmart and Aldi are some of the cheapest prices out there for long-term food storage stuffs. Buy the 20-pound bags of rice, buy the bags of rice from Aldi, and then repackage them to last longer. Buy your canned goods there. It's cheap. Stock up. It's not a beauty pageant. It is survival. Get stuff that you will be willing to eat, but don't get the really expensive stuff. Unless you have the money. If you do, then fine. Go ahead for it. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.